on the Mana Symbol channel with a beautiful new overlay. And a little red-green extravaganza for the evening. So we're going to be playing 2 red-green decks. The first up, the new and popular version of red-green Midrange. This is featuring Karn, the great creator. This is something that was mildly popular in a couple of sort of meme-style versions of the deck, but actually turned out that this could stick around as a actual staple of this deck. Specifically because with the wily combination of Arbor Elf and Utopia Sprawl, very clever and brand new to Magic the Gathering modern format. Nobody understood that these were good until just recently. You can produce up to 4 mana on turn 2, 5, depending on how you count it. Which means you could cast a Karn the Great Creator or a Bloodbraid Elf as quickly as turn 2, which is pretty insane. But in addition to that, with either Utopia Sprawl, Arbor Elf, or Birds of Paradise, you cast a 3-mana spell on turn 2, which is why the deck has such a heavy leaning on the 1-3 skip here. There's even an extra Bird of Paradise, which is not totally normal for these decks. There's also a couple Wrenn and Six to reflect the slightly more mid-range nature of this list versus some of the previous versions. Playing Seasoned Pyromancer and Tireless Tracker and a couple Klothys. No copies of Bone Crusher Giant to be found here, as well as 4 full copies of Blood Moon around, and then the Karn Wishboard sort of helps you out. There are 4 full copies of Ensnaring Bridge on the sideboard in this deck list, which is kind of nuts. I believe that's probably to help you survive against blue-red prowess, although without knowing exactly what the sideboard strategy is meant to be here, it's kind of tricky to figure out exactly how you're meant to navigate that matchup. I assume just sort of overload on removal and then Ensnaring Bridge them out. And that's a strategy that can work in a number of different matchups, including the Prowess deck and most Death Shadow or Scourge of the Skyclave decks or things like that. So that's what we got there. Interesting sideboard cards include Mazemind Tome as a 1-of, something you can wish for with your Karn. We've got a Batterskull, we got a Pithing Needle, and then 3 Relic of Progenitus. This is an actual sideboard card, apparently, that we can get or bring in against things like Dredge or maybe even some Snapcaster Mage kind of decks. I think against a bunch of decks that are super overloaded on removal, we'll be boarding out our Arbor Elves on the draw. Arbor Elves on the draw, but we'll see how that all goes. If I was truly doing my due diligence and thought that I was going to invest in playing this deck, I would highly recommend to myself and anyone else who's interested in such a thing to go find Giglio MTG or some other specialist who has really invested time in this archetype and find one of their sideboarding guides or pick their brain on a live stream or watch one of their videos in order to be able to get a really, really good handle on exactly how you're meant to be sideboarding this deck and approaching different matchups. For the moment here, though, I'm happy to flail around with this mildly powerful archetype and see how many wins I can get with it. Is that lined up? It is. Good. Lovely. We're on the draw. 1 land, though. I think we gotta send this one back. Much better. Yeah, we'll keep that one. Just because I've got a pretty good curve here, I think I'm shipping the Seasoned Pyromancer. Opponent has no companion, but they still could be on Prowess or something similar. I suppose I can just actually ship one of these lands. Yeah, since I'm going to be playing a Wrenn and Six on 2. If I end up against a control deck that's going to knock out my Wrenn and Six on 2, I'll be less than thrilled, but my opponent gave me an XD in response to my hey there, good luck, and have fun. My opponent's been playing enough Modern on Moto that they maybe understand what the rules are really about here. Looks like they're going to be on red-green shift, Titan shift, something of that nature. They don't have to be, but I would guess that's what they're on just from the opening salvo here. Perfectly on time, Arbor Elf. Love to see you. Glad you could drop by. So luckily for this matchup, we do have a Pillage incoming, although how much that's going to help us against their complete onslaught of ramp is to be seen. Courser of Krufix. That's a play. Yeah. All right, then. I will eventually be able to kill that. The tag team of Wrenn and Six and a wily lightning bolt. Yeah, definitely taking out their Castle Garenbrig here. They didn't have the double green to funnel into it yet anyway, but still seems worth doing. No land on top is good. Perhaps they have a way to shuffle and maybe get another shot at it. Nope. This is more good news. For a deck that seems to need so much double green, it feels like they're very shy on green sources. So I can play Tireless Tracker or I can play Seasoned Pyromancer here. Seasoned Pyromancer gets me more cards much more quickly. And I can also play an Arbor Elf this turn in order to accelerate a little bit. Or I could play Lightning Bolt to kill their Courser of Krufix. I don't need to accelerate much faster than this, I suppose. So let's go Seasoned Pyromancer, discard Arbor Elf and one of these lands, and then see what we hit. Mostly looking for more Pillages or Karns or some such. Oh, I meant to discard the Arbor Elf. Do I want to kill their Courser? I kind of do. I guess I should. All right. It's because we're not very likely to be able to kill too much else of any relevance in their deck with Wrenn and Six. And they've offended me with their life gain. How dare you gain life? I'm taking that away. I don't need you gaining any more of it. Oh my. That Titan sure is coming in fast. I guess I'd rather draw an extra card now than have to wait until later. Life total's a little low, though. Like, if they have a Primeval Titan this turn, we're going to be in bad shape very quickly. So. Okay. The next mountain. Oh, no mountain. Okay. No mountains. Interesting. Did I not tick up my Wrenn and Six? I don't think that I did. I don't think it's really going to matter. Seems like a grueling matchup. It might be. It might be. And that's the Titan. Oh. Scape Shift? Bolt? Yeah, we're just super, super dead. Unless they screw this up, but it's very unlikely. Yeah, this seems like a particularly brutally awful matchup, unless we had drawn one of our 4 Blood Moons, which of course we didn't. That would have flipped it completely the other direction, where I don't think there's any way they realistically could have won at that point. But such is life. Yeah, that's the correct number of mountains. My opponent has found the path to victory. I think if they had picked 6 random lands, they might have still gotten it there, because they had already had a forest in play, and I don't know how many that deck plays, but I assume it's not too many. So I guess I want Flame Slash over Lightning Bolt here, in that they are likely to play Dryad, and they were playing Courser of Krufix. I really don't think there's anything else I feel like I want to change. Maybe no, because we've got Karn to get the Pithing Needle. No, we just need a better hand than what we had there. Well, see, now, deck, that's almost an okay hand, but... No, see, you're doing the same thing again. Okay. I'm going to keep this one and hope that they don't snap off a turn 1 Lightning Bolt. If they do, it's not the end of the world, but it's certainly not my favorite. I think I'd rather have Klothys than the Flame Slash. Sprawl! I don't know why my Arbor Elf is a bird. Don't ask. No! Last game they played nothing for like ever, and then they just rolled me. Well, looks like we might be in better shape here. Always be lucky, and the second best piece of advice when you're playing Magic the Gathering is never be unlucky. Always be lucky, never be unlucky. If you follow this advice, you will do well. Recouping a little life lost will not be the worst thing in the world. Klothys is a Klothys. I mean, I direct you to quote 1 for any information required about Klothys. It's a shock if I want a second red here. I guess I could have used Klothys on a land. But I think we're just playing Fetch, Shock, Arbor Elf, Pillage. Seems good. Wrenn and Six at 6 seems pretty good too. I might just jump block for Wrenn and Six unless they bolt my Arbor Elf. In which case, I'm okay with that too. Yeah, it looks like they will. Alright. You've got it. Farseek. Search for tomorrow on top. Very well. Okay, it's quite possible my opponent has the combo kill ready to go, or they would have. Pillage. So if I take them down to 4 mana, they could ramp once and then play Scape Shift, which wouldn't be enough. So yeah, let's just chain off another Pillage. I guess Bloodbraid Elf might protect my Wrenn and Six, though. And it also fairly likely will wake up my Klothys, so maybe this is the right way to go. Yeah, just balls to the wall. Ah, I screwed up. I should have put another forest into play. Oh well. That's fine. We get to crack them hard here. I don't think it's worth holding back either of these to block for Wrenn and Six. I think just put them on a faster clock seems pretty okay. Basically, this game's going to come down to, can they put together the kill this turn? It's very possible, especially with that Search for Tomorrow in hand. If they have the Scape Shift, I am dead. Well, okay. So they could get 2 Valakuts or Valakut plus a mountain, but the mountain won't trigger here. So that's not too bad. Yeah. Courser's gained them a lot of health. Like, way more than I would have thought. Okay. Well, that's annoying. Although if they block anything here, I get to Flame Slash down the Primeval Titan. So that's pretty good. Yeah, hell, I'm not blocking the Primeval Titan. Not for anything relevant. Okay. I think I'm just dead. Because there's nothing I can do about the Primeval Titan. Boy, does that suck. Like, I can destroy a mountain, and then when they attack... Oh, maybe. No, because this is the Sakura Tribe Elder. Well, they have to sequence it correctly, so we might as well try. I think I made a mistake earlier in this game where I could have maybe managed to protect my Wrenn and Six a little better. So we're only taking 18 damage this turn, so... What's good, Mad MTG? Just continuing to get absolutely spanked in Modern, no matter what I play. Oh yeah, we're dead. Awesome. What an incredibly... Yeah, we're taking exactly 18 here. So I guess I needed to leave a blocker back. Just double stomped by red-green Scapeshift. In my opinion, one of the worst decks in Modern. That is good enough to see continual play. How many Valakuts do they play? I believe 4. It would shock me if it was less than 4. Maybe it's 2. Maybe I should have pillaged one. I guess they used to play 2 only. Huh. Yeah, I didn't really think about that angle, Tartan Scarf. I didn't do any of that. Hold on. Although luckily the Stream Decker bot's not here, so saves me from being embarrassed by the wrong deck being there. For some reason I forgot to do that. I was doing a lot of stuff today. Well, we got a really good opener this time. Okay. There we go. Okay. Well, I don't know what's happening on my opponent's side of the battlefield, but I don't really care. They almost did something with their island, so I'm confused on what it could have been, but whatever. You know, you say that, but these decks have been doing very, very well at MTG, so I think that they are specifically built to beat both control and prowess. Now, I'm not saying they will do so 100% of the time. Obviously, they've got a fail rate. I think you have to mulligan quite aggressively with them. I think you have to have a very distinct understanding of how you're supposed to play the deck in the matchup, but I seriously think that it's not possible for me to have seen this many competitively reasonable results of this deck if that was the case. Okay, well, we're definitely getting combo killed. Oh, that's fun. There's no Tormod's Crypt in the sideboard. It's all relics. So if I want to hate their graveyard, I can't do it immediately. Well, I mean, I'm just like speaking from observation, which I don't know if that's a logical fallacy or some such, but I always believe that if you see a lot of a deck, even if you can't make sense of why you're seeing so much of that deck, there must be something to it. There just has to be. It just, yeah. So I'm going to make a little bit of a weird play here. I'm going to down tick Karn to get Pithing Needle, and I'm going to Pithing Needle the Witchclaw Talisman. And the reason I'm doing this is I have no idea what I'm up against here. So, and I assume that if I go get a relic, which I can't activate this turn, that they're just going to be able to like lightning bolt my Karn and then go off without me interacting with their graveyard at all. So opponent's on some kind of brew, and sometimes the advantage of playing some kind of brew is that your opponent has no idea how to stop you. I see. Okay. Well, there's no Damping Sphere in my sideboard at all. Twiddlestorm. Yeah, the Grixis mana base had me thrown off because I thought they were just on blue-red. I haven't seen the deck in a long time. Oh, it's okay, obviously, Basura. I mean, it's not like there was anything I could do. Like, there was no better play for me to make other than maybe play Seasoned Pyromancer and gamble that I draw a better card for next turn. Because apparently my 4 Blood Moon deck can't actually contain... Like, we haven't seen a Blood Moon yet. And this is now 3 games. That's the other thing that MTG is like... You could say that there's plenty of control around, but like turn 2 Blood Moon just wins you games sometimes. On the play especially, but I mean, turn 2 Blood Moon in the dark is just... Life pro tip, don't work in IT. Don't do it. I don't. Are you randomly clicking something a lot? No, I'm mostly not clicking at all. Neither of my hands are on my mouse at the moment. My opponent's twiddling around. They're just over there playing with themselves. I feel like they've fizzled. My mic is picking up my fan, I think. The fan on my computer. They did in fact fizzle. The downside here, nice. The downside here is that we cannot, realistically, we can't get anything with card that's going to help us. But I could just play Seasoned Pyromancer, try to draw into the Blood Moon. So that's what I'm going to do. I want to leave my mana in something like this kind of formation, just in case I do pick up a Utopia Sprawl or a Blood Moon. course, I hit neither, and I can't play either of those things. I get Liquimetal Coating and turn off their watery grave. I mean, it's something. My mouse is right next to my microphone most of the time. So, Perilous Voyage. Well, damn. Artifact Blood Moon. That'll be a great ad for Modern Horizons 2. Yeah. I'm into it. So far tonight's life pro tips are don't go into IT and don't do government work. Got it. Well, don't go into the entertainment, the live entertainment industry. Otherwise, when there's a global pandemic, you will be pointless. Did they just play their... No, okay. Past in Flames. Oh, they do play out of their graveyard. Damn it. Alright. I botched this game. I did not know that they actually played out of their graveyard. I don't remember Twiddlestorm ever playing out of their graveyard. I thought they went through their whole deck and just didn't. So, could have had the easy out for this situation, and I don't. I am going to stick around just to make sure I can see their grape shot, but... They also play Breach? Wow, okay. I saw the Pyromancer's Ascension Breach deck that did well in one of the challenges, so we're going to play that at some point this week, but I was not prepared for this. But again, like, we can't find... Like, every game we haven't been able to find one of our 4 Blood Moons, so it's been really... it's been really rough. Although I guess they would have bounced it, so... Bryant Cook has been repopularizing the deck. Well, I guess if he's going to ruin Legacy, he might as well ruin Modern as well. I'm kidding. Okay. I feel that. Twiddlestorm is the ultimate deck of watching your opponent play with themselves. Like, it had to be Twiddle. It had to be Twiddle. Have I seen the Grape Shot? Nope. Maybe they haven't either. There it is. So again, we basically have very little sideboard. Although, I guess I bring in the relics. And I'll keep a lightning bolt for speed. 1 Past in Flame, 2 Breach, 3 Wishclaw Talismans, and then 4 O's. Makes sense. Makes sense. Thanks for the follow, RMHC. I do not know why the alert didn't play, but welcome, welcome. Yeah, the bounce spells. Well, it's like Storm, right? Like they're playing okay, seems alright. I mean, I hate putting the Sprawl on the Stomping Ground in my Blood Moon deck, but we're here, we might as well live with it. Aramic. Got it. Aramic. Aramic. Oh, what? I'm so sick of people doing that to me. God bless it. I do not like you, Sam I am. Perhaps should have used the Wooded Foothills here so that I could guaranteed have a land in a graveyard. Yeah, exactly. Am I mad because they played well? I don't agree I don't agree with anything about your statement. I'm not mad that they played well. I'm annoyed that every single player I've been playing against in the last couple of days have been able to do this kind of crap, and the decks I've been playing have been spectacularly bad at doing the things that they're supposed to do. So, no, I'm not mad because they played well. I'm mad because they don't feel like they need to cantrip. I'm mad because this deck seems to not actually put out enough pressure to be able to kill people. I'm mad because this deck doesn't draw blood moons. Like, choose your choice. There's lots of things to be annoyed about here. I play like that against Gruul all the time. The problem is when I play well like that against Gruul, it feels like most of the time they have the Blood Moon when No, I'm not off the Lorehold deck at all. No, I love that deck to death. I built this channel on doing a variety of things, and so I come here and I do a variety of things. Yeah, well, we're just going to keep jamming Bloodbraids at him. I mean, they're almost dead. Oh, I found mana. $13 damage, so I can put him to 1 this turn. Boy, I hope I don't lose. You have 8 Paper Modern decks that are tier 1.5. Interesting. What is this? Vapor Snack? Oh, sure. Well, that made my decisions a lot easier. Yeah, I got you. Tier 1 or 2. I mean, it's not about like me being indecisive about what I would like to play. I know the kind of decks I would like to play. I just I try to keep playing a variety of things all the time, whatever I can find that's interesting from challenges or 5/0 dumps or whatever, so that there's a variety of content out there. Like I YouTube searched a couple times after the Simian Spirit Guide ban. I couldn't find any YouTube videos of Ad Nauseam or the Ad Nauseam Light deck or the Inverter deck. Like nobody was playing these decks. So I at least put up one video of each of them for people to look into if they had felt abandoned, because the only Ad Nauseam streamers I knew of weren't they weren't posting the videos of their decks. So like the only way people could watch it is if they caught that live. And the nice thing about posting stuff to YouTube. No, Alex, I don't. People can sort of look at YouTube as like a time capsule too. Like if people are like are nostalgic about certain versions of certain decks. You know, when you put it on YouTube, it's permanent. So I mean, semi-permanent. Permanent enough. So it's like if people want to watch a bunch of like Teamer Urza play, I was doing that for a long time, and Sultai Urza, and you know, Urza combo, Urza midrange, all of those decks. Okay, if I hit a second land, this hand is insane. If I don't, it's probably okay. Yeah, I'm gonna keep. It's just such a high potential upside in this hand. Well, it's not a Magic deck, Alex. Now, if there was a metaphorical Magic deck that was the Stealing Pandas from a Zoo Magic deck, that I could make videos of. But I can't rent any, I think, any Panda cards from Mana Traders. They just don't have them. Slacking is what that is. Lackadaisical mother flippers. All right. There's 4 Blood Moons in my deck. I've never seen one. So, amazingly humanitarian way of creating content. Well, it just, I don't know. It just makes sense to me. Like, I just took it from, I mean, obviously it's not exactly the way that he was doing it, but when Jeff Hoagland left doing as many modern and pioneer videos, I was like, well, there's a gap here. Like, there's not someone who's creating that volume, and obviously I'm not creating the same volume that he did, but and people aren't paying for them to be played or seen, but still, it's, you know, these archetypes, these little bits and pieces of the metagame should be documented. Oh, for sure. I can't get away with being the kind of person that he is because I'm not as talented or well known from the get-go. Plus, I'm me. I'm just not quite as abrasive. I'm certainly not as opinionated. I don't think being opinionated is necessarily a bad thing. That is not a Lotus Field. Sweet. So this is an interesting little moment. My Arbor Elves get bounced, but I get to cast this Valakut Awakening for an awful lot. So finding a Pillage is not going to help me much. But Blood Moon, on the other hand. Whee! Seriously? Come on, man. All right. Well, this Bloodbraid's going to flip into the Blood Moon, right? Right? I mean, at this point, it has to, right? Nope. We're going to draw it, and they're going to kill us. That's what's going to happen. Got it. Yeah, no, I got you. Were you playing one of the versions with Asperdoll? You don't think it'd be like that, but it do. It do. Still no Lotus Field, though, and they're mostly dead. I mean... Blood Moons finally started listening to me. Yo, I heard you needed a Blood Moon here. Hey, I'm mooning here. Sure, that doesn't save you. I mean, it saves you if I have a Lightning Bolt. I mean, it is going to resolve now, or at least it most likely will. Which, I mean, that's a big deal, because if they can't Lotus Field, ask and ye shall receive. That's biblical. God, I love that movie. That's what I need to watch on Saturday or Sunday. That's what I need to watch. Chicken Run. I love Chicken Run. Mana from heaven. No, it's eggs from a bum. What are you playing? Oh, Drift? Set Adrift? They have Set Adrift for my Blood Moon? No, apparently not. Alright. Anyone remember Phoenix Staple? Set Adrift? Oh, also, so people were bringing this up in Fran's chat. Hey, we won one. People were bringing this up in Fran's chat, and someone was like, there's no way they're ever going to print Careful Study in Modern Horizons 2. So my question to all of you is, what is your opinion on there's no way they can print Careful Study into Modern Horizons 2? Guys, it's just as good as Faithless Looting, but it's in blue. There was so much wrong with so many of the comments that I was just very, very tickled. So for background information on part of my claim, I recently re-listened to it, but I listened to it the first time when Mark Rosewater put out his Drive to Work all about the design of the cards of Modern Horizons. And when he talked about Hogak, this was before Hogak had gone totally nuts. And what he said about Hogak was essentially, oh, this was a mix and match card. I kind of thought it was neat and fun, so that's that card. Period. That was his basically his whole talk about Hogak. He was just like, oh, it's got Delve and it's got Convoke, and you can't use mana to cast it, and you can cast it at the graveyard. So it's just a really cool little card design. Crabvine becomes amazing with Study. Well, I mean, that's the question, right? So we just got a major upgrade to Dredge. And for about a week, it kind of seemed like Dredge was going to be unbeatably good. And then everyone remembered how to play bunches of sideboard hate cards, and then Dredge mainly went back to being what it's always been. So, well, I mean, we'll see. Hey, Michael, it's been a minute. Hope you're doing very well, my friend. After that Hogak analysis. Sure. And that's just my point, right? Is like, it's just crazy to me that people seem to have this idea that, so we just crushed this player, that like, oh, well, they wouldn't make that kind of mistake. I mean, they banned Faithless Looting. And it's like, no, but you don't understand. Like, Faithless Looting, first of all, did not need to be banned. It was banned with Hogak as a sort of scapegoat situation. Same with Mox Opal being banned. Mox Opal did not need to be banned when it was banned. At all. I fully believe that it is not the case that Mox Opal needed to be banned when it was banned. They did it. It's a thing that they could have done for a long time in theory, and they finally had enough of an excuse to be like, see, look how broken it is. Look how broken it is in this Oko Urza deck that's never existed before. We need to ban Mox Opal. Mox Opal died because Underworld Breach was at the printer. I mean, maybe. That's not normally the way they do things. I think that after the Faithless Looting one, though, they had set a small precedent for banning some of these powerful modern enablers, and so they continued on that line. And it's the same with the Uro ban. They could have banned Uro or Sanctuary or Field and see what shook out for a couple months and let us know that the other ones were kind of on the chopping block, which I know they don't like to do, but like, well, no, I mean, I understand that, but like you have to let it happen because Breach in Modern has not been a thing. Like it was something that people thought was really good and really scary, and it's playable, sure, but it's not broken. It's fine. Yeah, preemptive bans are a bad idea. Well, it's because they can't like there's a reason that they play test to a point, right? Anyway, it's because they can't solve for the gratuitous number of matches that are going to get played. There's the keep. I guess Tireless Tracker's not so good once I've resolved a Blood Moon. Although it's probably better than Klothys. But I do need to ship 2 cards here. It's probably fine. Yeah, I mean, but those were misguided for an entirely different reason, Mike. And then the standard ones they've done, some of those have seemed, to me at least, to be very, very well thought out. When they banned the next best cards, when they were banning the best standard deck, so like when they banned the Mardu Vehicles deck had something obnoxious in it, and they also banned the Raptors from Ixalan. That was a situation where it was like, well, this just feels smart. Like they're just getting ahead of the situation before the situation gets totally out of hand again. I should have done those fetches in the opposite order, but whatever. Blood Moon! Blood Moon! Wow! 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 I mean, yeah, the preemptive bans for Bitter Blossom and Bloodbraid Elf were just... I mean, that was a very different... I think that was a very different situation. In my mind, it was. Right, land off the top. Also, they don't have land. No, they did. No, I mean, I agree with you on that one, Mike. Although in that situation, there was still the problem of how long they let all those combo decks be overly dominant. And they said, no, it's fine. And all the players were saying, it's not fine. We don't want 3 combo decks in perfect balance to be the metagame of this format that I mean, like, formats are formats. Like, they don't need to be anything, but it seemed like what Pioneer was going to be was a much more fair format than Modern, with a lot of sort of broad brewing appeal. Same with what Historic seems to be now, and they just banned Thassa's Oracle out of Historic today in an effort to not let Historic go down the same sort of meltdown that Pioneer did. Although Pioneer obviously had a lot of other issues going on with it. Well, my Tron opponent has some big thinking to do, apparently. Okay, so probably just play Karn here. Oh, no problem. No problem. Hopefully the little kidlet settles down. Has himself a good restful sleep. Are you on East Coast time? Your son has a 9 o'clock bedtime, so they must be quite small. Well, you could be a degenerate combo player to your core, but are you a degenerate combo player who only wants to play against other combo decks? Aw, 15 months. Just a little tiny baby human. Micro human. Oh my. I'm gonna Pithing Needle my Liquimetal Coating. I don't think this is going to work the way you would wish, opponent. They have Pithing Needle Karn? Like a maniac? I bet they do. That's what they should do. We'll see if that's what they do. Yeah. Well played. Well played. Alright, well, there's nothing for it. Guess we gotta just beat him to death. Hi-ho. Klothys. Don't mind if I do. Woo! It's worth killing the Karn, if only to free up my clues. Klothys is great. These are facts. These are the facts, as it were. All right, opponent, what do you got? You passed on the opportunity to use your expedition map to get a forest. I hope you haven't been horribly punished by it. Yes, that is what I dearly, dearly hope. No part of me. We were so innocent in March 2020. I mean, Klothys is basically unchanged in... Hadn't killed anyone over T... Oh my god, you're right. Wow, that's... Yeah, I was still supposed to head back to the cruise lines at that point, which I'm still on call for lack of a better term, but... So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Killed him. I haven't, but... Well, it didn't. I mean, they definitely are going to be set back heavily, but they'll bounce back pretty well. I mean, there are some like international tourist destinations that got hit way harder than the cruise companies did, because the cruise companies just sort of could pack up for the most part, just put their ships into dock and maintenance stuff. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I think the first couple of months of cruise ship stuff is going to be probably very cheap because people are going to be very cautious, as well they should be. Opponent is Rabek 42. Rabek. Alex. I'm not going to say this is a family stream, but... Can I keep something that just doesn't do anything until... Holy crap, that's a great price. That just doesn't do anything until turn 3, and then turn 4 plays a Karn. I feel like this is 100% a hand you can't keep in the dark. This is not any better. I'm slightly more inclined to keep it this time, though. Opponent keeps their 7. You know what? To hell with it. I'm keeping this hand. Stuff anyone who tells me I'm wrong. I'm definitely wrong. I don't care. We're already 2-3 this league. I'm feeling... Or we're already 2-3 at worst, so... We're almost playing with house money. We got another Urza deck! Yes. Urza. 7 days of golfing and liver damage. Oh, baby. Now, is it going to be E-Tron? I bet it's E-Tron this time. Show me the temple. No? Got a split of lands, though. Mindstone. Okay, it's probably E-Tron. Well, that's not bad. For anyone who enjoys when I hit, for anyone who enjoys when I hit the Lord of the Rings quote of "they called it a mine" when I'm talking about Urza's mine, I'll also have you know that I usually don't say anything about it, but in my head, when I see Eldrazi Temple, I think of the Temples of Syrinx in 2112 by Rush. We are the priests of the Temple of Syrinx. There it is. Seize my thoughts. Sear my thoughts? Seared thoughts. Oh, no, it's just a little guy. Oh, it's a chalice. That's cute. I'm gonna pop that sucker. I guess I could play Wrenn and Six into Klothys here, and then next turn I could play Karn plus Liquimetal Coating. Man, that seems better. Because I can't do anything like relevant with the Karn, but then next turn I can use him to, yeah. Well, no, but that's not okay. That I can do that sequence next turn. No, I can't play the bridge next turn, but I can at least get the bridge next turn. But this sets me up to be sort of more stable, depending on how the rest of this goes. Obviously, if they have a Reality Smasher here, it's going to suck, but yeah. If they have their own Karn, that would be less than great. Although they can't do much with it right off the bat, so yeah, that's fine. Not terribly concerned. But if I draw Bloodbraid, it's going to be a little massacre. What are they getting? Pithing Needle. Alright. As an opponent, you're really pithing me off. Needle straight into Chalice? Yeah, I mean, I wasn't going to tell them. So I could get and play Ensnaring Bridge this turn. Which I guess I should do. Yeah, I think so. Or I could get the Liquimetal Coating and turn off their Eldrazi Temple. Yeah, I just turned off their Mind Stone. Let's just savage their mana production here. I can't imagine how they dig out of this. Like, now if they have a can't activate. Oh, you're right. Yeah, I punted. Thanks, friends. Yeah, it's all good, guys. You can exclamation point punt here. That's legal. And it's fun. I had it deactivated forever, but then I came up with the idea of putting that on it, and I was like, we have fun here. Let us be a fun place to be. Oh, now they found the Smasher. God, that is so unfortunate. Now they get to kill my Karn. Gosh, yeah, I screwed up hard. I knew I should have gotten the bridge, but I was like, oh, I'm going to savage their mana production. That's going to be so good. All right, so we punted away this game, looks like, which is really bad. Still can't cast that. Well, they can cast the Pithing Needle, and they do. Interesting choice. Okay, then. Let's try like a Bloodbraid Elf. That'd be pretty good. Tireless Tracker. Oh, nothing. I do love a good helping of nothing. One good punt deserves another. I suppose so. I guess I'm putting it back in exile where they can get it and cast it again. Of which I am terrified. Am I supposed to feed this Arbor Elf to their Pithing Needle or to their Chalice? I guess I am, in case I draw another Karn and I want the bridge down as quickly as possible with as few cards in hand. Just get ahead of it. Also, I can eat the Arbor Elf out of my graveyard for Klothys. Canadian playoff hockey about to start. I'm so excited. Can you just not hide it? Did they just straight up not activate their Karn last turn? They did. That's funny. Well, sucks to be me. Now they're the one with the Liquimetal Coating. Oh no. Jeez. Okay. All right then. Well, punt and lose, I suppose. Because I realistically don't think that once we had the Ensnaring Bridge down with us having a Karn, that they were going to have any kind of out. So, yeah, really goofed that one up. Why would you bother attacking a Wrenn and Six 4/5? Like, okay, and now they're killing it and giving me a whole extra turn. Okay, I mean, that's a choice. It's your choice, so you take it. It does get 2 devotion pips off the battlefield, so still really angling for Bloodbraid Elf into Tireless Tracker, I guess. Oh no, Tireless Tracker's no good because of the Karn. I mean, it's fine, but it's not. Again, where were you earlier? Okay. So they're going to start stone raining me here. Your own Karn would be good. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I have enough mana to play the bridge, but well, no, and I can do that for 2 turns. So nope. Just 20 land deck. Don't worry, Zach. Nothing but lands for you. Technically, I was going to survive another turn unless they wished for a Walking Ballista and just killed me, which I believe should have been an option for them, so I don't really care. All right, so that one was on me. I'm pretty sure this is an Ensnaring Bridge in matchup. And Lightning Bolt's out, I guess. Flame Slash is probably okay. Unless they get the Chalice down. Guess I'll grab a couple of them. I wonder if I'm supposed to go all 4 bridges in. You'll need to dodge Karn plus removal for the bridge. Yeah, that's the plan. I mean, in theory, we should be able to get ahead of them and punish their mana enough that this setup should do it. So, like, it's just one of the, like, we just need our deck to do the thing it's supposed to be here to do, which is, like, play Blood Moons and Pillages. Although, it's not that many Pillages in the deck. No. I mean, that game really came down to my punting. All right, so this hand could be insane with a second untapped land draw, but even without is quite good. So let's go. The really brutal thing will be if they have turn 1 Dismember on Arbor Elf, but they've mulled to 4 here, so I'm imagining they will not. All right, opponent. Mull to 4 and Dismember. Do it. Do it now. Well, I found my land drop, so no time like the present to do this. Boosh. Get dunked on, nerd. Nice keep. Wowie. Oh, well. Are you ready to die, opponent? I know I am. Die! What a game. Damn it, Gerard. What are you doing? That is clearly Gerard of the Weatherlight, but the flavor text is the Western Paladin, one of the lore characters from 7th edition. Yeah, I guess they had Temple TKS. Like, I guess, but not that it mattered. Yeah, sure. Especially on the draw, this seems fine. Opponent kept their 7, so that's a little scary. But what you gonna do? I guess I'm gonna draw some fire. Unless they have turn 2 Chalice. In which case, we're still fine, but better if they don't. Have you thought of always running that hot? I considered it. Yeah, it's a strategy. I mean, yeah, it's definitely. I don't know, Bloodman. Merp. Yeah, go get your wastes. Get ye to a nunnery, opponent. Lest my cane find your backside. I asked for no broth. Plays Arch of Orazca. That's a choice, sure. Good old Arch of Oreos. So having an untapped forest is nice in case we hit a sprawl. Also, not playing your land is good because then you can hit Tireless Tracker and then do this. And then get a clue and then be able to crack the clue. Smash. Yeah, I started playing this deck when it first got popular, and I got off of it very quickly because I just don't like the way you get free wins, and I don't like the way. What do you expect, Muffins on a Hill? I'm a child of the postmodern world. Postmodern. That's where I'm a Viking. Anyway, everything that I've ever learned about anything that's important in this world, I've learned from The Simpsons, so you definitely have that to blame. Did not follow my own advice that time. That's fine. On the land sequencing. So if I Bloodbraid into a second Tireless Tracker here, it's no good. Klothys. Yeah, sure. So, am I willing to swing out here for 8 damage? Yeah, I think so. Trade a Bloodbraid Elf for a big spike of damage. I guess they could block my tracker if they want, but I get a lot of cards out of that, so I don't mind so much. Yeah, that's what I figured they would do. It's fine. I guess I could have cracked a clue to try to pick up Flame Slash. Oh, I should have done that before I hit. Gotten the extra damage. I meant to, and then I just was talking about other crap. Anywho, that's a good draw. And we've got Klothys to defend us from Reality Smasher. So, you know. All the good things. Smasher. Defensive Smasher. Do it now. Play it. I don't even know if it helps them, but maybe it's Walking Ballista X2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if they kill my Arbor Elf, Klothys is still... Wow. That's a card. Alright. Wasn't expecting that one. You got it. Opponent's mostly dead. Now, there's a difference between mostly dead and all dead. All dead is what they're about to be. Karn Bridge plus on Batterskull. I think I'm going to go Karn plus on Batterskull. I mean, I think getting Liquimetal Coating is actually better. Just to shut off their wastes. We sure are kin-sided. We sure are. Although, as I explained before, I'm much more of a fan of red-green midrange. Ponza is a bad deck that plays way too many copies of Stone Rain and Blood Moon and no ways to actually win a game. It's my take, and I'm sticking to it. Oh no. Spatial Contortion? Warping Whale? Spatial Contortion. That deanimates my Klothys. Well, shit. That's 2 times in a row I've lost my Karn to stupid crap. Someday I'll see someone attack with Karn by using Coating and animating itself. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's definitely a thing you can do. In Pioneer, I attacked with God Pharaoh's statue a whole bunch of times. Lesson of the day, play bridge. Yeah, I guess so. All right, man. Just ugh. I don't know why I made the same mistake two times, like almost the same way. There are no lands in graveyards. Well, that's a pain. Though they can pillage the Batterskull, although they can bounce the Batterskull if I pillage it, so not a good idea. They're mostly dead, but they could eventually cast an All Is Dust, which won't actually be too bad for me right now. Pillage the Wastes. I mean, Pillage the Waste, play the bridge is probably... Yeah, that's fair. I can't play the tracker before the bridge here. I could just play the bridge. Alright. Alright, opponent, you want to make this a long game? My Klothys will kill you. It surely will. Some of these newer E-Tron decks now are, for some reason, down to playing 2 wastes again. They were up on 3 for a while, but it seems like they're down. List is too tight. Well, I mean, you say that, but I mean, they were managing it before, so I'm just saying I'm not really sure. Like, I think it was the second blast zone though. Like, they had it before. I know they had it before, but something took up the real estate, and I think it was the second blast zone because they used to just play 1. For whatever reason, they're now playing 2. Doing the good stuff, baby. Yeah. Bop rockin' beats. The bop rockin' beats. You have to be able to survive their first wave and be able to survive the second. I'm just not sure against which decks E-Tron specifically needs 2 blast zones. Like, that's the kind of thing where that's really for the E-Tron specialists. Ugin. Yep. If they try to destroy anything on mine, I can use Liquimetal Coating to fizzle the Ugin down tick, which is kind of fun. Yeah. Wait, no, this doesn't take colors off stuff. I thought it did for a half second, but it doesn't do that. Which I guess is why I've never seen anyone else do that thing. If there's anything I know in this world, it's that I am not smart enough to be the first person who came up with something like that. So if I haven't seen it before, it's probably for good reason. Boy, do I have a lot of mana. I mean, yeah, if they want to attack with their little spirit duder, I guess that's fine. I'm at 28. Dead in a couple turns anyway. I'm going to hold the 2 cards because, like, you know, attacking with a spirit token or whatever is not a concern. Klothys is just going to handle them. Well, if they hit a waste, they could All Is Dust, and All Is Dust would actually kill my Klothys at this point. And all points, because it's sacrifice all colored permanents. So I don't know why I bothered to qualify it at this point. I'm used to Klothys dying a lot when it's accidentally a creature. Accidentally. Yeah. Oh, right. No, but they don't they need... Oh, it doesn't have colorless mana on it. Boo! I thought it did. I don't know why, but I thought it did. Oh, well, that was horrifying. I thought it had colorless mana attached to it. I don't remember why. It doesn't make any sense. There's no reason. I know which block it's from, but I wasn't playing during that block, and I wasn't playing during the second Eldrazi block, so... Oh, man. This is going to be 2 games in the same match that I lose because I misdeploy Karn. What a strange happenstance. Yeah. If they follow up with Karn, then the bridge goes. Yep. Yeah, I never played during original Zendikar block, and I never played during the subsequent one. Well, spin to win, I guess. And then if we lose, we just put out these. I don't know what I could get with this that I really care about, but... Jeez. Oh, alright. One Klothys, please. That would have been nice. No, it's been 2 years since War of the Spark. Well, core sets are back, Muffins on a Hill. Just this year, they're skipping it. But as a rule, core sets are back. Yeah. As a rule, core sets are back. It's just this year they're skipping it. So I guess they're going back to the old model of you get a core set every 2 years. Which, by the way, was a thing. That was 100% a thing. It used to be the case that there was just literally no core set in every other summer, and they just wouldn't put anything out, period. Imagine a world where there was a time where they would normally put a regular release set, and they just didn't. You just have 6 months of the same third expansion. Draws a card with Arch of Araska. Jesus. Alright, I haven't played one of these matchups in a while. The theoretically grindy enough mid-range deck against Etron. But I severely screwed up this one in a couple places, so I don't mind. Although if we draw Karn before they draw Karn, I mean... Yeah, okay. As far as draws go... Yeah, this card is obnoxious. So good. Wow. So I can just knock down 2 lands this turn. Seems really good. Karn Pithing Needle on Ugin? Coating Ugin, then pillage it. No, I like Pithing Needle on Ugin. Oh, there's a... Yeah, I can't. Yeah. Pillage the Sorcerer's Spyglass, get Pithing Needle, Ugin sounds pretty good. Karn, Pithing Needle for Ugin, Pillage the Liquimetal Coating, and then just turn off one of their lands for the turn. Alternatively, I don't need to Pithing Needle the Ugin if I just turn it off with Liquimetal Coating, but that's much more risky. The draw land. Yeah. Arch of Araska. Yeah, I think I'm going to Pithing Needle the Ugin because they can draw a second one and just turn off the Arch this turn and then kill it next turn. Okay, let's do this in the right. Force them to arch in their upkeep. Oh, right. That's an option. I guess it's not that good of one, but... So, Spyglass dies. Pithing Needle goes on Ugin. And this means if they kill my Karn, their Ugin's still off. He's the Ugin that won't be effed. Got it. And now begins the suffering. We hope. Please. Opponent, if it's not too much trouble, I would enjoy it if you would begin your suffering now. Somehow after that, like, 2-minute pause for that turn, it felt like 2 minutes. I mean, it was probably about 30 seconds, 45 seconds for what I thought through there. Somehow we're still up on clock, so that feels pretty good. They just let it go. Interesting. I wonder if they have a payoff they're interested in casting. If they have another All Is Dust, like, it kind of sucks, but I get to keep Karn and the Pithing Needle, so it's not the worst. 3 mana. Fuck. You've got to be kidding me again with this crap. They have Sky Sovereign, don't they? Don't you? You got Sky Sovereign in your sideboard, I bet. God. And they had it all, like, they either had it already or they just drew it on their draw step. Like, that's so tilting. Like, obviously our Seasoned Pyromancer was bad from their perspective, but, like, jeez, man. I hope no boat. I hope they're playing one of the lists that cut it and all they have is Walking Ballista. Because this is a problem that I ran into a couple times in Legacy. I refuse to call this deck Karnza. This is RG Midrange Feat Karn. Karnza would be a deck with Urza and Karn. There was a deck with Urza and Karn. No boat. Yeah, some of the newer E-Tron lists are not playing the boat, and yeah, I assume. Yep. We have more pillages, though. Not too many more, but we've got 2 more. Yeah, right? Our Liquimetal Coating would still work if we can kill our Karn, so... But we don't have any bolts in the deck right now. It's all Flame Slashes. Flame Slashes all the way down. What else do they have? Holy crap. Sky Sovereign's great, and I love Sky Sovereign because it breaks these kind of mirrors. They would have crushed me if they had it, but they don't. That's a pretty good draw. Remember how you had that Arch of Vraska? Yeah, it's not gonna work. But yeah, I the Legacy Karn nice. Gross. The Legacy Karn Echoes deck, some of the lists stopped playing, or no, all of the lists were playing only sideboard Walking Ballistas, and I ran into enough mirror matches, or things that I characterized as close enough to mirror matches, makes no difference, that and you could break the symmetry by having Sky Sovereign. Oh, also, Collector Oof was much more popular in that format. So my Coating will turn off their Karn in perpetuity. So, although they scooped. Why? Your Karn was free. I don't. Whatever. I'll take the win. All right, 3-1. Maybe let's go 4-1. No, oh, we can't use Coating still. Why did they scoop? They ran out of Karn targets? No way. Come on, really? Dude, their sideboard is like 12 Karn targets. That is fantastic, Last God. Yeah, I thought that was a great joke. Yeah, all right. So assuming that the bot is correct and they're on prowess, we're gonna lead on Utopia Sprawl. Bloodstained Mire is going to make me lead on Utopia Sprawl even harder into Wrenn and Six plus either Arbor Elf or Lightning Bolt, depending on what the board demands. Yes, I know we could probably have gotten, like, we could have high rolled it and just jammed the Arbor Elf, but I don't like that at all against Bloodstained Mire. And they are, in fact, playing prowess. They bet to. Oh my god. Light up the stage? Expressive iteration? Stormwing. Wow! I sure hope they have a mutagenic growth. Otherwise, this might be a mighty quick game. Good lord, what a hand. The really embarrassing thing is going to be when we lose this game. That's going to be the moment. I mean, I'm assuming they had no other option, right? I mean, that's just... Yeah, it's risky as long as... Oh! I'm going to kill that Stormwing entity. I'm going to cut it out of my diet like sodium. They always have the mutagenic growth, though. Like, don't worry. See? It's like a companion. Mutagenic growth is just in their hand, always. And there's my Wrenn and Six dead. All I had to do was play one spell. That's it. One spell. Seasoned Pyro doesn't help me survive at all. But it might draw me into land and or a lightning bolt. So bet they won't even attack Wrenn and Six. I guess that would be the smart thing to do. Because, like, no, they did. I mean, I'm not mad about it. Okay. I'm going to play the mountain out so that I can have a floating... No, so I can have an option? Yeah. Play Seasoned Pyro, discard Seasoned Pyro, and Pillage. Yeah, I think I like that. I mean, I don't love it, but... Bloodbraid them? You think I should have? Jeez. Maybe. I kind of like the selection, but maybe that was what I was supposed to do. Oh, that's Freak, and you're just memeing. Well, I mean, we could have Bloodbraided, and it would have possibly been the better play. I don't actually know. Lava Dart. Shit. Of course. Why not? Oh. Stupid lightning chickens. Well, one of the guys from Faithless Brewing was poking at me, Phoenix and Freak, about the Oops All Gear Hulk list. So, it's got some fans. Yeah, this time we Bloodbraid. I mean, there's just no... Actually, I know that I want to keep the land drop in case I flip a tracker, but I also... Actually, no, there was no reason to do what I did. Yeah, it's fine. I mean, yes, I did lose the clue there, but all my attacks suck anyway. Well, it's an okay attack, but we are dead on board. No, on board we're gonna go to 1. I used to love to try to brew with and break Stormwing when it came out. Now I kind of hate it. Well, you're supposed to hate it. It's too good. It's not too good, but it's frustrating. Yeah, I mean, obviously freak, but it's not like people know what the deck is, so I don't consider that an actual problem. Well, we're not actually dead here, Mike. And I have the ability to put lethal together, so their 1 card in hand has to be something useful. It almost definitely is, but that's not the point. The point is, you know, we'll play to our out, which is that they don't have something here. That's the Lava Dart out of the graveyard. Okay. Okay, this means that I don't have enough damage to kill them now. Which is problematic. But we could draw a Bloodbraid Elf or... What the hell? Oh my god. I don't think there's an out anymore. Yeah, there is. Alright, Lightning Bolt. Blitzgar. That might be an out. We'll see. Depends on how they block. Smash. Damn it. Well, might as well put him to 1. Yeah, we had to BB in the exact right thing. Hurry, cheat, and slip an Anger of the Gods into your hand. I don't think that necessarily puts us at an advantage, Muffins. I think we were fairly likely to die there even with that. Alright, this feels like the right sideboarding. Howdy, Roy. There's an overlay now. Looking like a fancy strimmer man. Designed my own little overlay. Certainly could be more fancy, but I like how clean it is for the moment. Yeah, all right. Got all the mana I'll ever need. Yep. Yeah, I put the Time Warp art there too. I thought that was kind of a nice touch. There's no Ensnaring Bridge in my sideboard, though. Not just the Time Warp art, though. My edit, dude. My edit is cool. An Anger of the Gods for 4 or 5 mana, but you can cast it while searching your deck. I mean, as a judge, I just don't want to deal with something like Panglacial Worm being constructed playable. Because that card is one of those cards that spawns a whole bunch of, hey, Judge, what if that, how does that work? But it's a cool idea. It's just, well, that only matters specifically with Chromatic Sphere, Roy. Yeah, but Roy was already banned. We knew this. It was known. Okay. So Flame Slash will kill a Sprite Dragon through a mutagenic growth. So instead of wasting this Lightning Bolt here, I like it better than cast slash put in hand from outside the game. You mean companions? Tutorable sweepers seems okay, I guess. Yeah, I guess. So without a bridge in my sideboard, I guess Batterskull is the thing we get. Or Mazemind Tome. You hate wishes with an unreasonable amount of ire. I love wishes, so I'm interested to hear about your hatred for wishes. Not only do I love wishes, but I love Karn being an homage to the correct way that wishes are supposed to work, in my opinion. It's not even opinion. That's how the wishes worked in the beginning. It's just literally how the game worked back in the day. Yeah. The fact that they broke wishes just to create the exile zone just drives me up the wall. It's just such crap. They just rub you the wrong way? That's fine. I mean, plenty of things in Magic that just rub me the wrong way. To be honest, the extended universe crap just rubs me the wrong way. Like, I don't actually have any strong, good reason for how much I hate it, but boy, do I hate it. Or open universe, or in founding universe, or whatever the nonsense name for it is. Infinite realms. Yeah. Universe beyond. There you go. Don't like the idea of wishes in modern. There's only one wish in modern, right? Glittering wish. Hopefully they put in the other ones in the next Modern Horizons 2. But I really hope they give them a rewrite so they're able to grab stuff from exile. Because I really hope Mark Rosewater is not the only one in charge of. Well, Mastermind's acquisition it's not a wish, but it does grab stuff from outside the game. So if you want to name it as a wish, yeah, Karn grabs stuff from outside the game. So it's kind of like a wish, but like, yeah, there's a granted, yeah, but I just wish all of them could infinitely loop themselves, just because it's pretty harmless and fun. Like, yeah, well, I want new wishes too, but all you do is you take the wishes from Odyssey block, and then you staple the text to them from outside the game or from exile. So make them work like they used to. Is my pitch. You want a wish that allows you to tutor from your opponent's deck? So bribery? Do they have the mutagenic growth again? No, they do not. Good. I think I'll play Mazemind Tome this turn instead of a Karn that will immediately die. This might get me killed, but you want it to put it into like exile where you're allowed to cast it, Roy? You know the funny part is, in Modern, that would be pretty fair. There's just so little overlap between the decks. It's like, if you're playing some kind of mid-range control deck that that tutors into your opponent's deck, and then you get a card in exile which you can cast for any color of mana or whatever nonsense way you want to phrase it, I think that would probably be okay. Right, yeah. I don't remember Praetor's Grasp at all. Huh. Well, you can get lands with that. That's why I assume that it's the way it is. So, like, in theory, your first Praetor's Grasp gets the color of land you need, and then from that point on, it's you going into their deck and getting the lands you need to cast their spells. Which is, like, obviously, like, really kind of frustrating and dumb, but, like, I'm not saying that that's, like, great design or anything. I'm just, like... So I guess I sacrifice my Karn to the prowess gods here. Fortunately, there's nothing I can get with it. Like, I could play Bridge, but the only thing Bridge means is they're not able to play any sorceries to buff their Swiftspear. Which I guess is not so dangerous. Yeah, alright, alright. It's also theoretically messes with their ability to deploy other creatures here. It's kind of awkward, but... Oh, there you go. Yeah, Swiss sneeze with the deep cut there. And the kind of obvious, like, yeah, it was from an artifact block, though. So, you mostly used it to grab artifacts. That was the point of the card. Excellent. Everything's falling into place. All right, opponent, deal your 12. A Brade. All right. Goodbye, little bridge. You served me well for like half seconds. Lightning bolt. Son of a bitch. We're gonna die, aren't we? Lava dart. No. God bless it. Even though I knew it was gonna happen, it still drives me nuts. I hate lava dart so much. So much. It's funny, Freak. Yesterday it was just missing all stream. It was just always... I get you, Roy. Alright, well, we got a nice clean 3-2. Playing with house money there. So, Gruul, red-green, Karn, mid-range. However you want to slice it. This is a reasonable mid-range deck you can play with some unbelievably powerful opening plays where you just absolutely house your opponent, but with like a lot of grind potential. I personally, I like this version more than the like aggro mid-range version. Just the Karn just gives you so much flexibility, and having a lot of mana makes your Karns completely insane sometimes. There is definitely some vulnerability to this strategy, especially because everyone who plays Modern any amount knows exactly what you're up to, so you're not going to get a lot of free wins off your opponent getting got by things they don't know are coming. Your free wins come from the things that are coming. There's nothing they can do about it. The specific squeeze of turn 2 Pillage or turn 2 Blood Moon is super brutal. He was playing this and said it's unwinnable against prowess, and so he didn't like it. I mean, my thought, Freak, and I would ask Lapless John about this, or someone else who I respect personally about their opinion on it, who plays it a lot in challenges. I would ask them about it, because I can't imagine someone like Lapless John would play this deck in challenges as much as he has. I can't imagine this deck would have been putting up as many results as it has been if it does actually have an unwinnable prowess matchup. So I don't necessarily think that's actually true, even though some people think so. And obviously I just got trashed by prowess there, so I'm not saying that I'm right, but I just cannot imagine this deck has a bad prowess matchup if it's doing as reasonably well as it seems to be. Just like the Velomachus deck, like, does it have a good prowess matchup? No. But, I mean, I won matches twice against them in the PTQ, so... Yeah, like, we're playing a Dwarven Mind deck into prowess, and, like, I'm winning a reasonable amount of the time right now. I got crushed by Doomwake, much like, you know, Tunneling Cat crushed me, but they're always diehard fans. Oh no, I mean, I get it. That's fine about diehard fans. Like, I get that there are diehard fans. I know that this archetype speaks to a lot of people, so that's awesome. I mean, I'm glad that that's a thing. You know, that people have a deck that speaks to them. I think it's pretty good, and I think it will never be awful. So yeah. We are going to move on to Red-Green Turbo Luca. This won one of the challenges on the weekend, so I'm excited to play it. I've played something similar to this in the past, but that's for everyone in the future. And so if you are in the future on my YouTube, make sure you hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, check out any other videos you would like to. And I am always live. Well, I'm live 8 till late most weeknights on twitch.com/manasymbol, and I will see you there. And for everyone who's live with me, we're going to throw on some tunes. I'm going to